Hello there, and welcome back to MidLife. I'm Cheryl. We're in the New York area. It's not fully warm yet, but we are having those moments. So I just felt a little festive today. We're still trying to get warmed up continuously. This is a channel that covers midlife issues, and we mostly focus on women over 40 because we're the ones, in my opinion, that take a harder hit with this thing as far as the aging process and just midlife issues and midlife in general. Our last episode talked about the pandemic and how we're coping with it now because some of us are used to competing, and now that we're in a time of survival, a lot of us are finding that we're experiencing more confusion because of it, because there's no audience. But today I'd like to talk to you about something more intense, and that is love. The love that we show to others, and more importantly, the love in which we feel for ourselves. With my background in psychology and from my own life experiences, I'd like to sit and talk about that for a little bit. So if you've looked at past episodes, you know that I've always had complaints about the way that, we live with one another, and how I have like a handful of friends because of this problem with, jealousy, competing, and that kind of thing. And when you boil it all down, it all comes from love on the way that we feel about ourselves. That actually comes out in the way in which we connect with each other, or I should say one another. Now, take myself for example. I have been through a lot of different changes because I've been making adjustments to make sure that I am comfortable. In my personal life, in my professional life, I've actually changed the way I do jobs because of this. We say God is love, but that statement, it has like strong meaning, very deep meaning, because a lot of us are not believers. We feel that we're just existing here and that we don't have to account for a lot of things that we do. And I am here to tell you that that is so far from the truth. We have different experiences as we work towards midlife. And some of us, the way we handle that, it becomes a vicious cycle. I've had my experiences and I embrace them as I go along. But not everybody does that. It's like people tend to take their bad experiences and hold on to it, even if it's from childhood or it's from, in their adolescent years, their adult life, from past relationships. They hold on to it. Now, I can't tell you how to go about things, but the way I handle my experiences is I take each one as I go along. We talk about emotional intelligence, and I will keep touching base with that because that is the backbone in which we mature within ourselves as individuals. And so when we have bad experiences, we should be able to use that to grow an inch more within ourselves, so that we will know next time what and what not to do, change our outlook, and to be more versed on, and ourselves and what it is that we need to do, what input we had on something going wrong, whether it's your marriage, your friendships with others, relationships on the whole. That self-talk is very, very important. And sometimes, a lot of times actually, the self-talks are not positive. It is what believers will say is the enemy, and it will mold you into that individual that is very unpleasant, very ugly, and very mean. And what happens is, it doesn't only go inward, it eventually starts to come outward. And it's usually to the person that is closer to you, or the people, your friends, family, your relationship, husband, wife, what have you. And so this is what I believe the cycle is. We would call it a vicious cycle because it will be very hard to maintain a good relationship with ourselves. So you will find yourself being very miserable within yourself because you are not happy inside. We've always heard happiness comes from within, and it really does. When you tend to be around people that are not happy within themselves, that are not pleased with, it can be anything, with the way they look, with the way they feel, their life, the way it is, what happens is the behavior that they have, the feeling that they have is what I should say, the feeling that they have inside starts to permeate on the outside with their behaviors and the way they deal with others. I always say that people that are hurting tend to hurt the people around. And I've always been a victim of that. That is exactly why I have a handful of friends. I choose my friends at this point. And thank God the one or two that I am interacting with are pleasant. And, we all have our little moments, but it is not an abusive situation, because that word abuse is exactly what happens. And so we just don't have the love. We don't have the love amongst our family members. We don't have the love with friends, husband, wife, what have you. I do different jobs now because of that behavior. I try to protect myself against stuff like that. Like, I try not to interact too much with people that are not happy within themselves, miserable people. And with us dealing with the pandemic, where a lot of us are secluded, some of us live alone and have to live with ourselves kind of thing, it's like a vicious cycle now because there are no candidates to abuse. I'll give you a little story on what happened to me just recently. But because of that, I watched the jobs that I put myself on. I have actually changed my profession because I just cannot be around people that are miserable. And a lot of times, it's mostly women. I mean, we're all having our moments, but the percentage of the group that I'm talking about are women, middle-aged women, women over 40. And that is because they are not first on who they are, what they stand for, and they're either in a bad relationship, bad marriage, because they're looking for things to identify themselves, to validate, I should say, themselves, and it's not working. A lot of us are putting on this face, a large ring on the finger, big house, 2 and 3 cars, luxury cars, and within ourselves, we're miserable because we're not validated. We have not validated ourselves. And that's it in a nutshell. The love is not there. That self-love is so very important. If you don't have it, then nothing can really bring the happiness that you need to feel whole, to feel good within yourself. You need to have that love. You need to have that love within. And I think that it's ironic that we are linking the love to God, because that's a pureness. Like in children, you have a pureness because they haven't been exposed yet to the bitterness, to the evil, to the vindictiveness, the covetousness. They haven't been exposed to it, so they tend to be pure at heart. But when you start living, you're growing, you get from childhood to adolescent and young adult, and you're having these bad experiences actively, it can take a toll, especially if you're not doing the right self-talks, or you're not first on how to feel, to understand what's taking place. And if you're in an abusive or manipulative relationship, that can make things worse. And these experiences can actually change a person's personality. I've seen it. It can happen. And the person you knew before, a sister, a brother, a friend, a cousin, they can turn into someone that is a complete stranger to you one day. And that is because of all the different experiences, negative experiences, and then the negative self-talks. Those are two combinations that can create a perfect storm. And so the love is just not there. Now, I was formally trained to work with attorneys and training them and doing technical support. And it was an environment that I just, after a while, I could not survive. I'm a happy person. And when you are a light bulb and you are between people that are just seeing darkness or are living in darkness and you are shining brightly, that can pose a problem. That is what happened to me. And I have positioned myself where I will not be in that kind of environment because not only is it unpleasant, but it is unhealthy. But I'll give you a story. I'm in real estate also. I'm an agent. And I decided to spend some time in a brownstone. The person that lived above me was a woman named Jessica. And what I went through with that woman was unbelievable. We were introduced once. She hardly knew me. But this person worked to make my life a living hell. And in ways that you would not believe. I mean, it started very early, and it was not a pleasant situation. This person was so unhappy, so miserable within herself, and just watching me coming in and out, or probably even hearing, because we're talking a brownstone, the walls are very thin. And what I went through with this woman, I eventually had to leave. It was that bad. And this is someone that did not know me. I didn't know her. And she just worked to make my life, or try to make my life a living hell. This can happen on jobs. It can happen in friendships. This is what takes place when someone is not happy. To be in an environment where you're dealing with people that are not happy within themselves, it's a very, very dangerous thing. And the last time we spoke, I was talking about the fact that we're in a pandemic and we will have to make some adjustments to be able to cope, to find ourselves, because now we are, we're subjected to being secluded inside. It's not as bad now, but in the early parts of this pandemic, this is what we had to do. And I'm quite sure you know that a lot of marriages broke up because now it's not a routine where you run out and run back in. You were stuck in the house with someone that was supposed to be a partner in life, but because that relationship, that love was not there, it wound up being a mess. And this is what is taking place around the world today. I don't know what side you're on, if you are, that miserable person that is like a missile waiting to land, and being a Jessica in someone's life. Don't. Because these things do come back around to you. When you go out of your way to hurt others because of how you feel within, that is not the way to fix things. You are only hurting yourself because it'll double up. I think we take a harder hit as far as the aging process goes. And I think that we are our biggest enemy in that sense as well, because we are not nice to one another, and we encourage a lot of the things that happen to us. Women are very, very competitive with one another, and society is after us anyways, to point a finger, well, you're over 40 or you're over 50, step aside, no, you are now considered obsolete. I mean, where does it end? We're not living good with one another. We are being targeted because of the aging process. So where do we find that common ground? We have to start being nicer to one another. I mean, I am not able to deal with my friends from childhood now because of the whole competing thing, the jealousy. It's not a good thing, and like I said, we are our own enemies in that sense. We have a combination of things that's going on with us. We have the whole hormonal situation. Thank God I have not really experienced any of that, but there is no excuse for the things that women do to one another. There is absolutely no excuse. It would take me all day to tell you some of the experiences that I've had with friends and family members, the women. It's sad. And like I said, we do it to ourselves. Men are having issues as well. It's just not as intense. They are having that midlife crisis where, I'm not dating anyone over 40, and and these are sometimes men well into their 70s or is approaching, and are married and their wives are in the 60s, and they're talking that they're not dating anybody over 40. So it's a real joke. When you listen to it, it's like it's some kind of denial. And that's fine. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. But you should not be in a position as a woman having to lower your self-values and your self-respect in order to maintain a relationship. Whether this person is your husband, a lover, you should not lower your standards. And a lot of women do that to maintain a relationship. To each his own, it's like I'm not full of myself, but I am confident enough where I will not be abused in any relationship, whether it's a friendship, a marriage, no relationship should come with any form of abuse. I'm telling you, that thing called love, it's just not there. I mean, on the channel, we have a lot of parents that are calling in for the abuse they're getting from their adult children. It's a sad situation. It is a sad situation, and they do need to have that love. That love needs to be there. We're very routined as human beings, and these things can take a toll, your family, your close friends, your husband, your wife. You are used to having this routine, and one day you have to decide you have to make changes. You've got to cut it loose because of the abuse, the lack of love, the attention, the intimacy. You have to cut it loose. And so if you are not a confident person, a take charge person, where does that leave you? And this is why I think we have such a high rate of drug use, alcohol, suicide. These are the reasons why I believe these things are taking place. And you can't change the world because people make the world go around. So if everyone could be a little more conscious of just being a pleasant person, being a good person inside, having some kind of fruit of the spirit, I think the world would be a better place today. That's my opinion, but again, we can't change the world. We all have to work together to just be in a better place within ourselves. And I think things will change once that happens. And that experience I had with this stranger, this Jessica person, was a very, very interesting one. And it just goes to show that evil, anger, bitterness, it's out there. I don't know if you want to call it prejudice, self-hate. I don't know how to define that, but whatever it was serious. It was real intense. This channel is more about growing older and blooming within yourself, growing as an individual. But when you are walking around like a missile waiting to land and you're looking to hurt people because of the hate that you feel for yourself, that's a different story. That is wrong. When you don't have light inside, you should be looking at someone who does have it to find out what makes them tick and to see how you yourself can bloom and feel good within yourself, not to put someone else's light out. Is that the way you want to live your life? Because I can tell you that karma is something that people do not believe that this thing exists, but it does. You have to watch how you treat people. You really do. The world needs more love. The covetous behavior, you've got the ill-treating of the elderly, your elderly family. The love is just not there now. It's about meanness and competition, and it's just, the love needs to be there. The love needs to be there. And the thing is, when people do not feel that love, they're actually looking to take that away from others. So, I mean, where does it end? Where does it really end? Love thy neighbor as you love yourself. And that is not what's happening. A lot of people are mean. And when you're able to identify that meanness, you need to not be around it. You have to watch who's in your circle, because you want to be pleasant. You want to be a good person. You want to have a clean heart. And when you have that kind of disposition, your life is better. It takes so much more energy to be mean to someone. What fascinates me the most is that they are upset with others for trying to find happiness. They are actually trying to put out the light in others that are just looking to be pleasant and happy and have fruit of the spirit like myself. You know, anyone that tries to put my light out, I just kind of stay away. When you are conscious of the way you treat others, you have your blessings. And people who are mean, bitter, angry, and unhappy, they tend to turn around and try to rob you of those moments. And it just is mind-boggling. They say in the Bible, are you blessed, which is happy and to be envied? I think it's so much better to be a blessed person and to be a blessing to others rather than be looking to rob someone of their joy and be mean to people, and for no reason. When you do it for absolutely no reason, you do get paid back. And I can tell you, if you are on the receiving end, just sit back. It's not good to wish anything on someone, but these people do not get away with the wrong that they do. In any kind of situation, when you hurt, when you go out of your way to hurt others and cheat, steal, and lie, you do get paid back for that. And I'm telling you what I know. So it's still early in the year where you can change the way you behave and the way you treat others, because that stuff is very, very important. Okay, so instead of spending time trying to put someone's light out, why don't you join in and see how it feels? Because it's not a good thing to live in darkness. And when you are a happy person, you tend to be a healthy person as well. Because that stuff, it takes a toll on your heart as well. And I mean, like, physically take a toll on your heart when you are busy being mean and angry and just, not a nice person. It takes a toll on your system. So I think you need to think about the way in which you carry yourself. Try to consider being a more loving person, a person that is nice inside, like the heart. Be a nice person. And stop trying to rob people of their joy, because when someone's blessed, there's no interfering with that. You might push them down a little bit, but you cannot interfere with someone who is genuinely blessed. So if you're on that end, don't continue it, because you're only hurting yourself, not the other person. You're hurting yourself. And I'm talking to all the Jessicas out there who try to look at life a little differently and take a different approach and see what happens. I mean, you don't have anything to lose and a whole bunch of stuff to gain, because nothing good comes out of being an angry, bitter, miserable, evil person. Nothing good comes out of that. And I think, for all that I've been through, if I can maintain a good spirit, like, to be in high spirits, then that's a choice that we all can make. That is a decision that we all can decide to do. If you are looking to entertain the bad feelings, the negative talks that you have with yourself, and just, feed into it, you're not going to feel good. You're not going to feel good inside. So you have to have the happy thoughts. You've got to look for the good in your life and just feel good about it. Just try to be happy. Try to feel happy. And when you feel happy, when you have that good feeling inside, then it automatically starts to permeate on the outside, and you'll find that you'll be a better person to be around. Thanks so much for taking time, and we will see you next time. Bye now.